Good morning, everybody. Patty Ann here. Welcome to my home where I made this pretty garland. I actually made it for my daughter and her two children, but I haven't sent it yet, obviously. And I wanted to make this video for you to show you how you could make this thing as well. It's so easy. All you need is Silhouette software, and you don't even have to have a paid version. You can have the free version. So let's get started making this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to duplicate some of these, again, using the free version of the software. So we'll start over here on the left, actually on the right. We'll do the Mickey as a pumpkin, and then we'll do Minnie as a pumpkin. So the first thing that I did was I went out on Google and found a Mickey that was a shape I liked, and it was free, and I downloaded it. Here's where I got mine. Now, you don't have to get yours here, of course. So I found one in here that I like the shape of. And let's see, it was actually this one, it was this one right here, because I like the way the ears are shaped. So I'll go ahead and download this, and I'll have the link for this place for you down below if you want to use it. It's free. You have to wait for a minute and then just download it. So it's coming down here into my download, so I'll go back to Silhouette. And now I'm going to go to File, Merge, because I want it to come on this same sheet. And here it is right here, that bluish purpley one. And there it is, just like that. Of course, I don't want this, but I just like the shape of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trace it. Select the trace area. Trace around it. And I'm going to up my threshold over here quite a bit so that all of the outline is showing up as yellow. Okay, that looks pretty good there. So I'm just going to say trace. And now I can get rid of this piece right here by saying delete. And this one right here, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to say object, release the compound path. That puts boxes around everything. And then I'm going to change it all to black. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab everything, right click and weld it. So, whoops, whoops, I had those clicked too. That's weird. Hold on just a sec. I accidentally had this picked too. So let me just get this, right click and weld. And now it's totally black. So that's what I want. Now I'm going to look over here at my picture and I see I need to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. So I'm going to duplicate this a bunch of times. So I'm just going to come over here to the replicate panel and duplicate, let's see, number of times 8. So I'm going to make 9 actually. So I have an extra one just in case. So there we go. Now I can drag all these off, and I could have made them a lot smaller actually, but they're all here now. Alright, so we're going to start with this one right here, and as I said, we're going to do this little guy. Let me move these again. We're going to do this one right here, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my Alt key and duplicate this again, because I'm going to make this one orange. It's going to go on top of the black one. So while this is selected, I'll just come up here to the paint palette area and change it to orange, just like that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I need to make his eyes, his nose, and his mouth, and that's easy peasy. We'll come over here to the shape tool. Going to go to the very far one, which is the regular polygon, and just draw that out like that. Now if I use this little slider thing here that looks like a zipper to me and put it all the way to the left, check out what it becomes. A triangle, which is just what we want. Then we can use this little rotate button, hold to rotate this how I'd like it to be, like that for an eye. Make it smaller, probably smaller yet. And I could actually, let's see, does it look straight? Looks a little bit crooked to me, so I'm going to try to straighten it out a little bit more. Alright, so there's one eye. Hold down my shift key and drag another one out, so there's both of his eyes. Hold down my Alt key, my Alt key, and drag another one out, And I can make this one smaller because his nose is smaller. And now to make his mouth, I'm going to come over here again to the shape tool. Let's see, what's it really called? The drawing tools. I'm going to get the ellipse and draw a circle like this. And then what I'm going to do is double click on it to get these nodes or these little boxes. I'm going to pull this one down like this and bring this top one down like this, and notice how that's starting to make a smile. So that's pretty good. Let's look and see, is that a good size? Yeah, it's perfect. Now, if you'll notice up here, if you can see it, he's got some little teeth taken out. So to do the teeth now, we'll just come to the drawing tools again. This time I'll get a rectangle. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle right here. Hold down my Alt key and drag one over here so there are two top teeth. Hold down my Alt key and drag one more here. Okay. Maybe I'll make them a little bit like that. Okay. So now I'm going to grab everything, come way over here to the Modify panel that looks like a rectangle with a circle. Click on that. When that opens up, I'm just going to click on Subtract. Okay. So now I can move this into place over here. Now I don't want to have to cut off these little pieces. What I want to have happen is these to be cut out of the orange piece and the black behind to show up. So I'm going to grab all of this stuff and again come to the Modify panel. If it's not open, it looks like the square or the rectangle with the circle. Once it's open, say Subtract. And there it is. It cut those holes right out of there for us. And then I would just group these two things together. And we're actually done with Mickey. I think I would have probably made his mouth a little bit, or his features a little bit larger, but you get the idea. That's how you make it. So I would make this about 4.5 inches wide. So that one's done. So let's bring another one over. This time we're going to do Minnie as a pumpkin. Hold down my Alt key and drag another one of these. With this one selected, I'll change its color to orange. No, I'm not going to do it like that. Let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go get a bow in that same area. So when I go here, let's see, I had Minnie, I don't want that one. I typed in Minnie bow, and the one that I believe I ended up using, might have been this one. Let's look and see. So I would download it and then I'll merge it. Well, I've already downloaded it, so I won't do it again. But now I'm going to go ahead to Silhouette Studio and go to File, Merge, and I'm going to merge in the bow that I got. Okay, there it is. It's way too big, right? So I'm going to make it much smaller. All right, now I'm going to do something else that I like to do so I have a solid black Minnie behind the bow. So first I'm going to duplicate this bow, and I can click on it and just right click and say duplicate, or I could hold down my Alt key and drag one out. And then after I have this one ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and grab all of this stuff, right click and say weld. So then what that does is it makes it so that when I have this bow to put on, I have a nice area to put it on. Okay. So I could leave Minnie just like this if I want to, but this time what we are doing is doing the pumpkin one. So I'll hold down my Alt key and drag one out, or right click and duplicate. Change this one's color to the orange. Put that right on top of there. And then I can take this color, this one, and change its color if I want to. Sometimes you can just come over here to the paint palette, and no, not the paint palette, I'm sorry, to this, the effects panel. And let's see, we're going to change its hue, its color like that. So we could change it to anything we liked, maybe something like that. Maybe we want it more purpley, or maybe green. Okay, let's leave it like that. So I could bring this over, right click on it, and bring it to the front. Now, if we're doing this one, I probably would do a print then cut for this one. What you could do instead, if you wanted to, was just the other way you could do this. Let's group these together. And I would probably only do this on a black one, so let me show you that. So I'm going to go ahead and Alt on this one and bring another one over. So this one would go here, okay, like that. And of course I could put the eyes and things on here as well. So I'll do that again so you can see. Come over here to the drawing tool, change this little zipper thing, oops, all the way to the left so I get a nice triangle. Rotate it like that, and maybe make it a little smaller like that. Once I have a shape I like, I can hold down my Alt key and drag another one over, or right click and say duplicate. And then again, I would do the same thing again. I would duplicate that again, right click and duplicate to make the nose. I can actually make the nose a little tinier if I want. And then again, I would make the mouth. So I'd come over here again to the shape tool, get the ellipse and draw that out. Let's see if that's going to be a good size. Remember I said Mickey's was a little small, so I'll make this one a little bit bigger. Okay, and once that's done, I'll double click to get the nose. I'll pull this down to make her have a nice grin. And I'll bring this one down so it's shaped properly. And of course I could stretch these out more if I wanted to. But you can just play with how you like to shape this. And again, if you wanted Minnie to have those crazy looking little teeth, you could do that. Or you could just, whoops, let me undo that. Grab her eye and her other eye. Holding down your shift key, you're grabbing all these. And the final thing you'll grab is the outside bit, which is the orange. And then come over here to the modify panel and say subtract. So that subtracted that right out. Now I'd group both of these together, and I could bring this back here like that, and there's Minnie done. And so I like her features being a lot bigger than what his are, but you can play with that because he looks a little bit creepy. All right, so let's see what else do we have to do. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to put your own pattern in Minnie's bow and then make a bow tie maybe for Mickey, right? So here's the Minnie piece that we'll use. Whoopsie, I don't need that yet. That's for something else. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to show you how to make your own pattern for print then cut inside of Minnie's bow right here, or if you want to make Mickey have a bow tie right here. As you might know, I have twin grandbabies, so we try to make equal numbers of girls and boys or things for everybody. There are just 3, so they're not too good at sharing yet. So anyway, okay, so let's start with Minnie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and file and merge, and I'm going to merge in that bow tie again right here, right? Now, since I want to put my own pattern in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trace it. So I'll come over here to the piece of toast or the butterfly, click on that, and then select the trace area and trace this. Now basically all I want to make sure that I have is a nice outline, which I have. I wonder if I put the threshold down. I might prefer, so that's what I would like to do. So now I'm going to say trace. All right, that's what I wanted right there. So I can just move this big one off here and get rid of this. This is what I want right here. So I'm going to now go to Object, release the compound path. What I'm going to do, I think, is move these pieces off to the side. These are the ones that are going to have the color in them, the pattern, and this one's going to be totally black. So I'm going to make this black because I'm going to build that on top of this when I resize it. All right, so this should be all welded together in one piece. Now this is what I'm going to work on now. Whoops. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to group this all together, group. And I'll just bring it down here now. So in order to put any pattern that I like from print then cut, I can come back again over here to Google. This time what I'm going to type in is Halloween wallpaper. And hit enter. Then I'm going to go to images, and what I think I'll do is I will go to tools, and the type that I want is clip art. Alright, so here's all kind of wallpapers that I could use, and I'll use any of these that I like. I just like to make sure that there's no what do you call it, watermarks on them, because if there's watermarks I should not use those. So let's see what else I can find. That's kind of interesting. Let's see. And since it's going to be print then cut, it doesn't have to be a clip art. Okay, that one looks pretty good. Okay, so there's one that we can use. So I'm going to right click on this and say copy image, and then I'm going to come back over to Silhouette, right click and paste, and there's my image right there. Actually what I'll do is I'll make this larger so it fits over top of that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of those and just come over here to the modify panel and say crop. So there we go. Now if I didn't like how big these were showing up or small, I could come over here to the paint palette here, go to the third icon over, which is the fill pattern, and then come down to advanced options. And at that point then I could go ahead and change the scale of this if I would like. Oops, I got to click on it first. Click this, change the scale. I can make them really big or really, really small, whatever I like. So just leave it like that, and I'll group this all together again. I want to make it a little bit bigger, I think, because I'm going to make my... And the other thing you could do is if you don't like where it's ended up, you can click pan, and that allows you to move this so that you get pieces that you like. In case you have that line like you'll see on the left side of that bow, where there's a repeat. Okay, so that looks pretty good like that. So I'm going to grab all of that and say group it, and then you can see how cute it's going to look on there. But if I bring my Minnie over, here she is, I could change her back to black if I'd like. There we go. And then I can stretch this down or fix it so it'll fit in here perfectly. And so that could be another one of my minis. Just like that. And I could group these together. Alright, now if I wanted to do a Mickey with a bow tie, I'll just bring another one over. Bring this bow tie here. And I think what I did on mine was I rotated this. So I just held down my shift key and rotated that around like that. Now obviously it's way too big, so I want to make it smaller. Put it here. And I could change its size a little bit. So now if I wanted to put a pattern on this one, I can do that as well. I actually can just go over here to the same place where we were, and let's get rid of that one. Maybe we just want something like this on Mickey's bow tie. So I'll right click on this pattern, copy image, come back to silhouette, right click and paste, and then I'm going to go ahead and take this over and this together and grab both things and come over here to the modify panel and crop. So then that leaves me with a sweet looking bow tie just like that for Mickey. So I could grab him. Now again, I could change this pattern if I wanted to by coming up here to this paint palette, the third icon over, which is the pattern fill. Go to advanced if it isn't open, and then you can scale it. Whoops, well, it is clicked on, okay. And I can make many, many more on there if I like, however I'd like it to be. And I like it like that, okay. So then I would just grab both of these and say group. Okay, so let me make these guys smaller. Let's see what we have so far. I'll make them about 4.5 inches. We got that. We have this one. This. We have this mini. And this Mickey that I actually don't like at all, because I made his face crazy. But anyway, you're getting the idea of how cute these are going to be. So let's group these guys and move them off to the side. Let's see what else we have to make. We have the ghost and the Frankenstein. I'll do the ghost first. So let's get a Mickey. And what I did with this Mickey was this. I believe, did I? No, I didn't. So what I did was I just came up here to the line tool and got to the polygon. Then I just started drawing around Mickey's head. So I wanted this to be nice and rounded around his head. Then I just came down this way. I'm using the scrolling wheel on my... So I think what I did was I'll just go straight over here for now and then back up like this. Okay, and that's what it looks like right now. But I don't really want it to be like that. Now, I made mine have a scalloped edge, but that's because I have the business edition, and you can do that. With this one right here, that's not an option with the knife tool. We don't have the scalloped edge. So I could do a polygon if I wanted to, but I could leave it like this too. So what I might like to do though is get the arrow, the selection, double click on this and say simplify, or double click and then get this part right here and say make curve, because I want it to be curvier. And this can be curvier like that. Bring that part in a little bit. And you could just play with these nodes to get it less sharp if you want to. Like I could hit that one right there and make a curve. And then that's going to make the curve right like that. And again, click on that part, make a curve. So that curves out. You see how that curved it out? If I want to do right here, I could click on this one and say make a curve, and it just sort of rounds it out a little bit. So I'm just double clicking until I get the nodes, and then I'm telling it to make it into a curve. So once again, I'll do it right here, do this and make it a curve. And so that's going to allow me to bring this out like this if I want to, and just adjust this how I'd like. All right, so that's good enough. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to white. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and cut out a hole for his eyeball like that. duplicate this by holding down Alt, drag one over. That one is selected. Hold down my Shift key, get the other one and the white, and say, come over here to the Modify panel and say Subtract. And then we see the black underneath. So you see that? Okay. Alright, and if I wanted to, I could keep working with these nodes so that it's not so pointy up here. Make that come down a little bit. But that looks good enough to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this. And I'm actually going to go ahead and duplicate it now. Take that one over, that's Mickey. And now I'll just make a Minnie. Let's see, did I save the bow? I sure did. Here's the bow. And I guess I didn't save a Minnie with the bow. So I'm going to get this little girl right here. Whoopsie. I'm going to ungroup it and then bring this here and send this to the pack. Okay, there we go. So now we have this Minnie, and I want to use this head instead of the one that I was using right there. So I'm going to change the size of this so it matches. Okay, and now I can ungroup this, take this away, and then just regroup this, or weld these together. Remember, weld. And I'm going to change them to black, not purple, black. I'm going to duplicate this one so I have another one in case I need it. Now I can bring this over here, and now I can get the bow, which it actually goes like that for Minnie's head. And I can just change it to a solid color if I'd like. So I could just change it to purple if I want to. And then make it smaller and just bring it over here. Bring it to the front, right click, bring to the front, and just like that way. I'm going to move that down. So I'm going to bring this to the top, because I'm going to put this down here where it needs to be and bring this over top like that. Okay, and you can mess with this however you want to. If you wanted to, you could have had a bow just like this one in there. Okay, let's get rid of this one and duplicate this one, but Alt and duplicate. And then I can just make this one larger so it'll fit on this right now. Bring it to the front. A little too big. There we go, just like that. And then that bow would be a print and cut. This one is. And I could again change that hue if I wanted to. If I didn't want another polka dot green one, come over here to the this panel right here. It's the effects panel. Come to the second button over, and then you can change the hue. So I could change it to whatever I'd like. So we'll just leave it like that and group. So now we have this one done. Now they're obviously way too big, so they'd be a lot smaller like this. So they'd be in proportion. Okay, a little small. I actually like these two to be about the same size. Okay. All right, so here's what we have so far. Whoops, I need to group those back again. Group. And I'm sure this needs grouped again. Group. 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 All right, so the last thing I have to show you to do then is the one that is the what do you call it? Frankenstein. Let me show you Frankie. Here we go. All right, so here's Frankenstein, and here's the mini Frankenstein. So let me do Mickey first. So I'm going to duplicate him. Here's another one of him. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this one in half so it would be a jagged line just like this one is that I hope you can see right here. See if I can bring it in a little bit bigger. All right, you see that jagged line and the jagged line there? That's what I want to do. So to do that, all you have to do is get the knife tool, come up here and change it. If it said straight, change it to poly, uncheck auto apply, and then just start. Every time you click, you're leaving down a node. Okay, now nothing has happened yet because I did not apply it. So I have to click on this again to make it selected and then come up here to apply. And now I have two pieces just like that. So what it looks like I've done here is I made the bottom piece green. So I'm going to click on the bottom piece and make it green. And then the other piece stays the color that it is. Now, the reason why I wanted this is so that I have something else to glue it onto. Okay, like that. Because it just makes it sturdier. The other thing that I did do is I made this the stitches on his face. So to do the stitches on his face, let's scroll in. All I did was come over here to the line tools and got a line and just came over on his face and drew a line. Now I want to make that line really dark, so I'm going to change its weight to a 6 and hit enter. And there it is. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another line, and this one's going to go right across as if it's part of the stitches. And I'll also make that the weight of that line a 6. Then I'm just going to hit Control D to duplicate it and bring that one down here. Control and D to duplicate, or Command D if you're on a Mac. I can use my arrow key to shuffle that around if I want to. Control D. And that looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with that. That's a good enough amount of stitches. Maybe I'll make one more. Control D. And put that one right at the end up here. So I've got all these selected. I'm going to come over here to the transform panel and transform those horizontally and vertically so that they're really nicely aligned. So I think you saw what I did. I selected them all and then came over here to the transform panel and hit both the horizontal and the vertical. So now what I'm going to do is move this out of the way and grab this and group it. Or what I actually should do is weld it, because I just want it to be one piece and then group. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. That's Mickey. He's finished. So I can just align this with my thing and then come on here and put this one behind. And then I just group all this together. And now let's do a Minnie. So she's going to work the same way. There she is. I'm going to Alt and duplicate her. I'm going to take, whoops, I did it twice. I'm going to take this one now. I'm going to again get the knife tool, come up here to solid outline, change this from straight to poly. And I'm just going to go over here and start making some jaggedy lines. Double click at the end. Since I have auto apply unchecked, I need to highlight that again and say apply. Now I have two pieces. The bottom section I'm going to change to green like that, and the top section I'll leave black. Again, I can either copy this one and paste it over there, or I'll show you again how I made the stitches. I just came in here, got the line tool, the straight one, drew a straight line. I went ahead and changed the weight of that line because I want it to be much thicker to cut out. I made it a 6. the next thing I did was I got the line again and drew a diagonal one like this. Again, make the weight a 6. While that one's still selected, what I do with that selected, I hold down the Control or the Command key on my keyboard and hit the D for the word duplicate. Okay, while that one's, and I can move that one over if I want to. Just hit the Control key on my keyboard or Command and the D for duplicate. Hit it again, Control D. Again, Control D. Again, Control D. I can just keep duplicating them like that. And then I can start moving them into place onto this line to make the stitches look good. I'll put this one way up here. So again, they're not spaced evenly. So what I can do is grab the top one, hold down the Shift, and grab these other ones. Okay, I think I have them all selected. And then I'll come over here to this tool, which is the alignment or the transform panel. Transform them this way, horizontally and vertically. So I must not have had them all selected because that didn't work properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this middle one and move him out. I'm going to select all these this way and now select this and this, and now they'll work perfectly. Then I can put this guy back in the center just like that and go ahead and weld them all and group. And there is Minnie's. However, Minnie still needs her bow, right? So let's scroll back out and get another bow. Here's a bow. So let me show you again how I usually like to make the bow. I'll go File, Merge. Gonna merge in this bow. Okay. Now I want that bow, the black, to show through. Let me scroll in. I want this black to show, right? I don't want it to just be a solid bow. So I am going to trace this bow again. So come to the Trace panel, select the trace area and trace. Remember, I took my threshold down just to get that outline like that. Then I said trace. Can remove this, delete. And then I have two pieces here, but I need to go to Object, release the compound path. So that makes it so I can drag this outer piece out because I don't actually need that. Since I'll have this, I would have turned it to black. But this piece right here now, I can change it to any color I want by simply coming up here, change it to a color. I could add a pattern to it if I wanted to do a print then cut by coming over here to this palette, coming to the last one and changing it to have a pattern. Okay, to me that looks sort of creepy, spooky. So I'm going to go ahead and group this, and then I can bring it down here and make it fit properly because right now it's way too big, like that. Now you really can't see that the black shows with this pattern, so let me change it to a different color, and then you can see how the black shows behind the bow, like that. So I'm going to grab all of this now and just group this. I'm going to delete some of these things over here, and let's look and see what we have. Okay, so we have this Minnie. And I'll make her, I'm going to lock the lock, and I'm just going to make them all about 5 inches wide. Okay, take this one, again lock the lock, make it about 5 inches wide. Take this one, locks locked 5. See what else we have hiding over here. Let's make this about 5. I even hate using this one because he looks so creepy. But I will, just so we can see what we have. Okay, so that's what we have, and it's as simple as that. And then I'll show you what I use to go in between each of these so that you can make yours look like this one with the tool in between. Isn't that cute? I just love it. Now again, some of these are print then cut, some pieces are, and most of them are just cut out of cardstock. Okay, I just noticed on my Frankenstein ones that I forgot to put the bolts in their head. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right quick. I'll right click on this and say ungroup, bring down this part. All I'm going to do is draw a rectangle through here like this. And looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to get another rectangle, and I could use a rounded one or whatever. And I could probably go in a little closer for you so you could see more clearly. But once I have that one selected, I'm going to hold down my Alt key and drag another one to the other side. And I think I will scroll in so I can see it better. There we go. All right, so that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to do is grab this piece, right with the Shift key down, grab the middle one and Shift and grab the other one. And also with the Shift still, get the ears. And I'm going to go right click and weld. And there we go. So then this piece went on top of here, which I don't really need that piece, but I just like the way it looked with a little extra weight to it. Grab this, bring this all to the front, and put this like this. Okay, and so that's cute. Maybe I made it a little bit too wide, but it's good. Actually, maybe I will go ahead and go Control Z to undo these. Maybe I'll make it a little tiny bit skinnier. So I can just go like that to make it a little narrower. Okay, and before I go ahead and use this one, I might as well go ahead and duplicate it. So grab, grab, grab. And I'm going to Control D to duplicate. Now I have one for Minnie. So now I can grab all of this stuff together and weld. There we go. And now I can bring down these other pieces again as I had done before. Bring it to the front. Okay, and then I can group this again. And it just does add a little bit of pizzazz to that, I think. So let's see, where's my mini Frankenstein? There she is. Bring her down. Okay, then just ungroup her. And get the big black piece in the back. This piece. Bring this over. Oh, let's go ahead and grab this and weld it. And bring this back here. See how that's going to fit. Yeah, okay, so we'll just move this over here. And then weld all of this together. Alright, and then I'll send this to the back so that everything else will come to the front, hopefully. Whoops. Let's undo that. Let's group that together. Group. Uh-oh. That needs to be grouped too. Group. And group. Alright, and there's Minnie also. So I think they're looking super fabulous. Okay, to get these ready for print then cut, the ones that are going to be print then cut, the first thing I had to do was come over here to my page setup panel and turn on my registration marks so that my computer knows it's print then cut. The next thing I wanted to do was change my page because my media size is not 12 by 12, it's letter size or 8.5 by 11. All right, so the next thing I did was I just went through here and ungrouped these things and brought over anything that was going to be a print then cut. So all of these little bows were print then cut. Oops. Okay. So what I will do now is just go ahead and print then cut these. So the first thing I would do then when I'm ready to print then cut is to come up here to File, Print. There they are. And I would say Print. My preferences, I like it to be on high. I had it scheduled here to do a print preview, but I don't need it to do that anymore. So I would just say OK and print. So those will be printing over there first. Okay, here's the sheet I've already printed out. And for my cameo, it puts these little marks here, 1, 2, 3 marks, and I need to make sure that the solid square is in the upper left-hand corner, just the way it is on my virtual mat in the software. So also this tape is only because my mat's not as sticky as it probably should be, so I wanted to keep these from moving. So what my machine is going to do, when I put this in, it's going to look for this mark, and this mark, and this mark. And once it has all those in mind, it knows exactly where these things are, and it's going to cut around each one of these perfectly. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do with my machine, and I don't have to do it with my machine if I don't want to, is I'm going to punch out the little holes that I'm going to string the cord through. I could do it with a paper punch if I wanted to, but I figure I might as well do it with my machine since I have it. So I'm going to draw a little circle. And once I have it here where I like it, hold down my Alt key and put another one across from it. And that looks pretty good. So while that one's selected, hold down my Shift and get this one, and Control G or group them together. Now I'm going to hit Alt and drag another one off to this one. Alt, another one here. Alt, another one here, and Alt. I'm holding Alt and then my dragging over to make another one. I have 2 more. One. Whoops, I didn't like where I put that one. I got to fix that. And oh no, I forgot to do one of these bows, but that's okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to ungroup this thing. What I'm going to do with this bow instead is I'm just going to make it a solid color of green so that I can just do it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, as long as all of these pieces are grouped together, I can do this at one time. Watch, I'm going to grab all of these because the orange and the black are grouped together as well as the blue for the little circles. Then I can come over here to the Modify panel and say Subtract. So what that does is, well, now I have to group them back together after I subtract. Group. So what that does, can you see? You can see through here now. It has subtracted those holes right out. So again, I'll do this, grab all of this, subtract, perfect, regroup whatever it is. Grab all of this, subtract, grab all this, subtract, and I'm not going to, oopsie, didn't have the right thing. I had too much. I'll move this over. Grab all of this, subtract, grab all of this and subtract, and this, whoops, not that one, just this one. Subtract, and then this one, whoops. Now I'm not going to group this back together because I would have to take it back apart at the end. So I'm going to leave it ungrouped if it's ungrouped, and it is, which is fine. And then I'll take this one and subtract. And that's okay if that would be ungrouped as well. There we go. Yeah. Okay. But you know what? I don't like where those are placed, so let me fix that. Let me grab this over here. Let me move the blue. There we go. And now let's subtract. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is, because I already have the bow ties cut out and they're ready to go. Let's make sure they cut perfectly. Yes, indeedy. And I'm ready to do some of this black stuff. So to do the black, all I'm going to do now is to go back up to my page panel setup, and I'm going to turn off my registration lines because this is not going to be a print and cut. I'm going to move all the bow ties over because they're done, and now I'm just going to start putting these guys on here, whatever I can fit. And I don't think I can fit very many on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. Well, let's see if I can at least fit 3 or maybe 4 things. Okay, there. And this will probably fit. Okay, and these will fit. Okay, so now I'm ready to go ahead and send these. So I'm going to go to send. And I know that the cardstock I have is really, really heavy. It's wonderful. So I'm going to change this to cardstock, no, cover stock heavy. And I make this to be about an 8 or a 9. And I'm going to load my media after I get my little bow ties off of here. Okay, these 4 pieces are done and they cut perfectly. I don't know if anyone saw, but I did not cut these properly. Let me show you. I think I've already fixed them, but let me show you the difference. We'll go over here to the send panel. The way they came in was it said cut like that, and let me make this one the same way. It said cut over here. So if I scroll way in, you're going to be able to see what's going to cut. See that line? It's going to cut this line down here and this line here and this here. That's not exactly what I wanted, right? I should have changed this to say cut edge, because now you can see the difference. Let me make one just cut and one just cut edge. This is the one that's cut edge. Do you see how it's going to cut around? And this is the one that says cut, and it's going to cut like that, and it didn't work at all. And I'd forgotten to change it. So I've got to redo those. And let's see what else do we have here that we still have to do. Lots of black things. These things right here. Any of these ones that are still up here. And I don't think I can do 4 of these, because the other time I did 4, it was one of the small ones. Is there not another one? There it is. Yeah, these. So let's see. Maybe I can do this one. If I do this one here and this one down here, maybe I twirl it around. That'll actually fit there easily. This one, maybe. Well, I don't have to work really hard to try to get this to work, because I am going to have to use another black sheet anyway. So I might as well just get rid of that and just make this easier on myself. Okay, so we're going to go to send it again. And again, everything should be on cut edge. Okay. So that's exactly what we want. I have my black paper already down. I've got cover stock heavy, cut edge, auto blade, and about a 9. So I'll do this and I'll be back. Okay, here they are all done, cut out and layered, although they're not glued yet. I didn't want to glue them for you because I figure you know how to do that yourselves. I'm going to use the Art Glitter Glue, which I have linked in my shop, to glue them together. But what I am going to show you is how I do the tulle very quickly. Okay, to finish mine, I just used some jute that looks like this, and I made it really long. And what I did was, I went in from the front into the back, and then all the way across, and like this, and I put them on here one by one like this. Let me grab one, pretend like this one's ready. It's not glued yet, but again I would go in like this, no, in from the front like this, and then through the back like that, so it doesn't show as much. So now I have this space in between them, and what I do is I use this tool. I'll have a link for it for you down below. And I used a green this really eerie green color, an orange, and a black. Those three colors together. So I cut a piece that was 12 inches long, and then I cut it in half. So I had 6-inch pieces. Then I took two blacks, let's see, a green and an orange, and put them all together in my hand. Okay, like that. And then I twisted them like this so that it made it a little easier. Then I went around this and just tied a knot. At first I tried using raffia between these, but I really didn't like the way it looked at all. Then I tied it really tight, although even though it's really tight, if you're making this for a gift for somebody, they're always able to move these things. Then after you're done with that, you just kind of spread these apart like this. And it's easier if they're attached on something instead of just laying here on your tabletop. But there you get the idea. So we have this one, then this little thing in between, and then that. I think it turns out really super cute. I love it. And I think kids would love it if it was hanging somewhere in their room or somewhere in the house for Halloween. So I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when I'm going live or when I post new videos. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll try to answer them. Also, look below at all the links that I have available for you. My Facebook group, links for some of the products that I used today. And I appreciate it if you use my links because it does help me to be able to purchase the stuff that I need to be able to make things to show you. So again, thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.